welcome back to another episode of the Government Transformation Show, the podcast for public sector changemakers. I'm Sam Birchall, senior reporter at Government Transformation magazine, and today it's my pleasure to invite James Buckley, who is head of practice for digital transformation at Tech, on the show to speak about transformation delivery. So we have a really great conversation about how government departments are coping with the pressure to deliver change and fast. We take a look at some of the best practices and approaches to accelerating transformation in the current climate and what challenges there are along the way. James tells us a little bit about some of the exciting transformation projects he has worked on, and he also have a little look at what might be coming down the pipeline in terms of new trends like digital twins and hyper-automation. So all really good stuff. Let's jump in. So James, welcome to the Government Transformation Show. Great to have you on the podcast this afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you, Sam. It's good to be here.
Great. And really excited to speak to you about delivering a transformation in government. It's a really important topic, lots to cover. But first, I wanted to kick things off with some introductions. So James, I will hand over to you to share with us a little bit about your background, your area of expertise, how you work with Tech to support the public sector.
Sure. As an experienced ex-civil servant, I've more than 20 years experience before I jumped across to, I guess you'd call, the other side of the poacher gamekeeper fence. That was around 2015. But through my civil service career, I worked in frontline delivery in the courts. I worked in policy roles. I really got into project delivery, I guess, back in what we would describe as the heyday of the old style industrial-sized managed service providers, the big sort of IT barons, if you like, of IT services in Whitehall. But I'm glad to say there's been a lot of good positive change over the years. The setting up of GDS and good practice that was introduced there, as well as promoting more opportunities for SME suppliers, I would say that. Keen to break the hold of the old guard, if you like, and enforcing change at all levels. But I guess my passion is in helping public sector organizations to seize the opportunities for digital transformation, replacing those legacy systems, aligning services and delivery much better around user needs, building digital capabilities is a really big one for me, supporting organizational change, helping leaders and teams to define and implement their 2B sets of services, and shaping, I guess, the digital enablers for better public services overall.
And as you mentioned, there are just so many opportunities at the moment out there for government departments to seize when it comes to digital transformation. So really looking forward to touching on some of those topics with you. But first, I know Tech are hosting a discussion table on delivering transformation at our summit in May. Really interested to know how you're working in this area and why this topic in particular is important to you, James.
So it's really important to Tech. We are exclusively public sector delivery specialists. Our people have extensive experience shaping and supporting really digital transformation across the wider sector, and in particular across Whitehall departments and agencies. So I guess you'd say, well, what makes us different? I'd say our digital transformation practice is made up of really highly experienced ex-civil servant and local authority staff. We have a really deep understanding of the needs of the sector and really have a passion for providing better public services. But where we're personally experienced in the challenges and the pressures faced by the public sector, I'd say that we understand the difference that working to resolve the challenges can make to public sector organizations and ultimately to the end users of those digital services. But I'd say that we distinguish ourselves from much of our competition by the depth of knowledge we bring across policy, strategy formation, advisory, guiding on complex change, and shaping and implementing delivery. What we offer, which I think is really great, is we have a full end-to-end transformation service right the way across our capabilities, from strategy formation to understanding user needs, providing full data cloud and engineering expertise, delivering change at pace, and crucially, transferring knowledge and skills and supporting new sets of services with a support wrap that's designed around the client's needs.
All of the good stuff then.
Indeed.
So James, I'd love to start off by setting the scene a bit. So I guess given the conversations that you're having and the projects you're working on, it'd be great to kind of get your take on how government is tackling transformation at the moment. And I mean, obviously departments are doing different things and have different capabilities. But I guess with that in mind, where are the common challenges and trends that you're seeing?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Sam. So government is really under increasing pressure to improve digital services and transform operations in response to the changing needs of citizens and businesses, and rightly so. So, I'd say, why can't our citizens get the same level of ease of use from government services that they get from all sorts of services we all use every day? We all have a reasonable expectation that government services should be fast, efficient, and accessible online. So I'd say on challenges, one of the biggest challenges that delivery of public services faces for me is a lack of digital skills and capabilities. Some public sector staff have limited experience and knowledge of building digital tools and services, and that makes it difficult to implement those digital solutions and deliver services online. Another challenge I'd suggest is the need to modernize outdated legacy IT systems, which can be expensive, time-consuming, and critically for me is the data lock-in, limiting opportunities for efficiencies and change. Another challenge, complex regulations and compliance requirements. That really is a significant challenge that can slow down the ability to innovate and transform, because resources are often diverted onto meeting those priorities. Although conversely, the need to meet those new regulatory and compliance requirements can be key driver for change and an opportunity for public sector organizations to initiate those change programs that otherwise might be further down the priority list. I'd say on trends. So to address the challenges, public sector organizations are increasingly adopting new technologies, which is great to see. So things such as AI, blockchain, and cloud, of course, really big one. They're also investing more in training programs to help staff develop digital skills. CDDO really has been to the forefront of helping to drive and increase leadership skills in digital. There is better partnering with supplier organizations such as ourselves in Maytech, and a lot of this obviously facilitated by Tech UK. So leveraging our expertise and our experience and critically transferring skills and knowledge to help build the internal digital capabilities. And that's really important. It's about reducing the dependency and outsourcing digital delivery and support, and which has been, such a feature for so many years. And I guess there's an overall trend towards more citizen-centric and agile approaches to service delivery. There's new models that we see a lot more of, such as design thinking, agile development methodologies. These help to improve the services and engage citizens better in shaping those new services. And I guess finally, I'd say choose suppliers that not only know how to work in agile ways, but also open ways. That's really important. Who share your passion for transforming, who don't want to reinvent the wheel for department after department, but build services with reusable technology and accessible APIs.
Yeah, really interesting points there, James. And I think some of those challenges or blockers that you mentioned, I think are interesting because they're really confounded by the fact that there is a lot of pressure right now across government to deliver change and fast. And I think COVID especially really changed that mindset for a lot of people, kind of also around that point around pressure, sort of things have to be done sort of immediately, things are very output driven. And I guess with that in mind, where do you see the main opportunities to accelerate transformation, and how best can government take advantage of those?
Yeah, I guess we touched on a few of these areas. I mean, there are several opportunities for public sector organizations to accelerate their transformation and take advantage of the opportunities. Cloud computing, we mentioned, I mean, it can provide significant benefits, scalability, flexibility, cost savings. By migrating to the cloud, public sector organizations can reduce their infrastructure costs and improve service delivery. But to take advantage of this, those organizations need to adopt cloud-first strategies and invest in cloud-ready applications. There's a lot of preparatory work that needs to be put in place. But for example, I did some work to support and Maytech to continue to support the prisons technology transformation program. So we helped there to replace legacy systems with cloud-based open source digital services. And the new open source cloud solution there handles more than 1 million requests per day. Looking at, we mentioned AI. AI can help public sector organizations automate repetitive tasks, enhance decision-making processes, improve services. So, for example, AI-powered chatbots can provide instant responses to queries. Predictive analytics can help identify areas for improvement in service delivery. One that's really important and I think is a really big one is open data. Open data can provide really valuable insights. It can improve transparency, encourage innovation. Public sector organizations can release their data in machine-readable formats to enable transforming, combining, and sharing data more easily. So CDDO and Cabinet Office are doing great work with data standards and the Data Standards Authority and the initiatives there to promote ethical use of data, data sharing, open data, and data capability. So it's a really great initiative. Digital identity. Digital identity can provide citizens with secure and convenient ways to access government services. So GDS is developing the One Login system that should enable citizens to authenticate identity online, provide access to a range of services quickly and securely. Partnerships. Public sector organizations can partner with private sector organizations and civil society groups to accelerate transformation. Great example of this one was the work that we were supporting in DLUC as part of planning reform. Really strong public-private partnership was developed with the prop tech industry there to collaborate to provide better participation for citizens in local planning. Some really great innovative stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, you touched on a whole host of really interesting points there and areas that the government can where they can see those opportunities for accelerating transformation. But it'd be great to perhaps hear some areas where MadeTech has specifically supported government transformation. If you could share any examples maybe so that we can then perhaps tease out some of those key processes, systems, best practices, and what's worked well and what hasn't.
Sure, yeah. So I guess we in MadeTech, we've been providing transformation services in different guises to public sector organizations for some years now. So yeah, a few good examples of that. Supporting the development of the HMRC cloud platform, which is if I get this right, the multi-channel digital tax platform, as it's known. It rolls off the tongue, that one. But it's really important, it hosts something like 900 microservices of HMRC's digital tax applications. It hosted all the COVID furlough scheme applications, including the job retention scheme, and enabled those to be built in as little as 6 weeks. So we continue to support the development of that, and it's fantastic stuff. Similarly, we've been supporting the transformation of DVLA's digital services, developing the customer account, which is a new concept with the vision to allow customers to manage aspects of their vehicles and licensing in the same portal. So this will actually be the first time that DVLA will have offered a joined up experience for car owners and drivers in the UK. So there'll be no more telling DVLA twice that you've moved, once for your license, once for your car. Seems straightforward, but there's a lot of work involved in getting there. But DVLA is still on a big digital journey. I mean, I read an article recently about the work that Leslie Crowley, the outgoing chair, did to help transform the services there. There's so much great work being done. It's a great organization. We're really proud to support the work that goes on in DVLA. Another big one that jumps out is Homes for Ukraine. So in, I think, around March 22, MadeTech worked with DLUC to support the rapid design, build, iteration of the Homes for Ukraine service. So this was really high profile at the time, wasn't it? This service allows sponsors, such as communities or local authorities, to bring people fleeing the war in Ukraine to the UK. So working with the Homes for Ukraine task force team in DLUC, we launched a minimum viable product application within 2 weeks. It was a real all hands to the pump exercise. And then subsequently, an unaccompanied minors application has since been built. That's been integrated and supported in a similar way. But we work across many different public sector organizations providing services that in very different ways help to transform the experience of citizens and how they interact with public services. We work across Home Office and MOJ, Cabinet Office, Met Office. Not predicting the weather that well yet, but getting there.
Yeah.
Department for Business and Trade, huge amounts of work going on there, big transformation, big machinery of government change going on in that space with, all the sort of BEIS organizations that are moving around. And of course, all of that is to not mention at all, even the NHS and all of the local authority work that we do.
Yeah, no, really amazing to hear some of those specific examples from DVLA and Homes for Ukraine, and just how quickly stuff like that was managed to get rolled out as well. It's really interesting to hear those. But I guess a lot of those examples, I guess, were very tech-based. But as we know, embarking on a successful digital transformation journey also requires kind of more than just updating technology. There's a sort of very big people aspect to it, and people are obviously kind of the main building blocks to supporting quicker decision-making, better outcomes in government. It's also traditionally seen as perhaps a bit of a challenge area when delivering transformation. And I know you touched on it at the beginning when you mentioned one of the challenges is the kind of skills capability within government. So perhaps you can expand on that a bit more. So does the public sector have the skills and capability they need to actually deliver change and even take advantage of some of the technology out there to help them with that?
It's a real challenge, isn't it? I'd say up front, we have the opportunity every day to work with some amazing civil servants with fantastic ranges of skills, but there's a skills shortage. There are significant challenges in developing skills and capabilities needed to take advantage of these emerging technologies we're talking about and leading meaningful transformation across the economy. So while we can definitely say some public sector organizations have made significant progress in developing digital skills, many are still struggling to keep pace with the changing technology landscape. So I'd say to effectively lead digital transformation, the sector needs to develop a range of probably technical, organizational, cultural capabilities. So if we say technical, looking at developing expertise in emerging technologies such as cyber and data analytics, as well as AI, blockchain, IoT, organizational capabilities, agile and flexible organizational structures that can adapt to rapidly changing needs. So that could include project management skills, implementing DevOps methodologies, creating cross-functional teams, really big one. I think I mentioned earlier the work that CDDO and Cabinet Office is doing. They're also putting fantastic effort into upskilling the senior civil service in digital and providing those digital leadership skills, which is fantastic, critical work. And then I guess in cultural capabilities, certainly the public sector needs to foster more of a culture of innovation, experimentation and risk-taking to encourage staff to explore these new ideas and technologies. So providing a better learning environment, promoting knowledge sharing, celebrating success. And, agile teams are really good at looking at doing this. We see some DDAT teams really embracing some of that culture, and it's really great to see. I was just going to say, just finish with, while there's still a lot of work to be done, many public sector organizations are making progress. The CDDO, Transforming for a Digital Future Roadmap, has digital skills at scale, I think it's called, as a key enabler, with continued investment and commitment and support from supplier organizations such as Maytech. And what's really important, structured and robust skills transfer and coaching. The public sector can be better equipped to take advantage of technology out there and assist with better digital transformation.
And James, you did kind of mention sort of like the key word there, which was innovation, and I think it can sometimes sound like a bit of a buzzword because it's sort of it's a word that's often thrown around a lot, I guess, when it comes to transformation programs. This innovation, but it's creating an environment where ideas can actually be brought to life is something that is really challenging for a lot of departments in government. Out of curiosity, I guess, how can departments, I guess, cultivate a culture of continuous improvement and innovation to, I guess, drive ongoing improvements in delivery timelines and outcomes?
Yeah, you're right. It's a tough one. So fostering that culture of continuous improvement and innovation is critical for the sector, isn't it? It's, about driving improvements in delivery. So I guess some thoughts on key areas to focus: encouraging feedback, create an environment where feedback is welcomed and encouraged from all stakeholders, including staff, customers, and partners. So that could be achieved through the regular surveys, town halls, suggestion boxes, all of those engagement and communication channels and techniques. Promoting experimentation encouraging staff to experiment with new ideas and technologies, providing a safe space to try out new approaches. So hackathons, innovation labs, sandboxes. So, these aren't new ideas, but encouraging more of that, I think, would be really helpful. Training and development, a really tough one for the public sector. Providing staff with training and development opportunities to develop new skills and stay up to date with these new emerging technologies. So it doesn't all have to be expensive training courses, but workshops, coaching and mentoring programs, and really leaning on your supplier base to share the knowledge that they've got. Suppliers need to be more proactive and better at doing that, in my view. Recognizing reward and innovation. So recognizing and reward staff who demonstrate innovation and creativity. And I guess fostering collaboration. So I mentioned earlier in relation to planning reform, encouraging that collaboration and knowledge sharing between different departments and agencies, as well as with those external stakeholders. Absolutely critical. One last one that I think is really helpful in this space, and we see a lot of, particularly with digital teams. I'm a big fan of OKRs, objectives and key results. It's a really good collaborative goal-setting methodology used by agile teams to set challenging and ambitious goals, which is really popular with those teams.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something really interesting there, which is about these kind of innovation tactics. They don't always have to be really expensive. They don't always have to be these huge grand plans. They can be done quite easily through small, as you said, kind of workshops. It doesn't cost a lot, but kind of what you get, the outcome you get from that can be kind of hugely transforming to culture somewhere. And yeah, some really good kind of tangible steps for innovation there, which is really great. So thanks for those. And I guess kind of to finish things off, I do love sort of looking a bit into the future-esque question. But what's new on the horizon in terms of supporting public sector delivery and supporting change in the public sector?
Yeah, there's always new innovations coming out, isn't there? I mean, there's some new, maybe not quite so new, but not all that well taken advantage of yet, developments on the horizon. So hyper automation, I was reading a bit about this recently. So that involves the use of advanced technologies such as AI and machine learning to automate complex business processes. It looks to me to have the potential to significantly improve the efficiency and effectiveness of government operations. Low-code platforms, been around a while, but they allow non-technical users to build and deploy software applications without having to write code. So I think this has the potential to help the sector quickly develop and deploy new applications. It has been around a while, and there are examples where it's being used and quite effectively and increasing in use. I have a slight concern around potential vendor lock-in issues, but the benefits are really tangible. Digital twins, again, it's something that's been around a little while. So a digital twin is it's like a virtual replica of a physical asset or system. It can be used to sort of stimulate and optimize performance. So it's got the potential to improve efficiency and effectiveness of government operations, such as in infrastructure management and disaster response. Again, one that we'll all be kind of familiar with, but has been underused, augmented and virtual reality. These sorts of technologies, I'd suggest, could be used to provide more immersive training experiences for staff, and also to enhance citizen engagement and participation. And finally, I'd suggest something like open data initiatives, which I think are really important. And again, I know that CDO are doing a lot of work around these areas. So that can involve making government data freely available to the public, which can support innovation and development of new products and services. So I'd say that overall, these emerging technologies and initiatives have the potential to significantly improve public sector delivery. As government agencies continue to invest in digital transformation, it'll be important to stay up to date with new developments and to identify opportunities to leverage them to improve service delivery and overall performance.
Yeah, some really exciting areas to watch out there. I know I've seen sort of a little bit about the digital twins and the hyper automation, but it'll be interesting to see kind of whether they kind of fall into kind of best practices kind of further down the line. Be exciting areas to watch, definitely. But James, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing those insights with you. And yeah, really looking forward to exploring some more of those issues in our upcoming summit in May. But yeah, thank you again for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you, Sam.